From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, March the 4th, 2021. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed the leaders of Austria and Denmark to Israel today. Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz and Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen held a joint press conference in Jerusalem with Netanyahu, announcing plans for cooperating on vaccine production as well as working on developing treatments for present and possible future mutations of the coronavirus.
What we're talking about is establishing a joint R&D fund of Israel, Austria, and Denmark, and beginning joint efforts for common production of future vaccines.
Frederiksen, as well as Kurz, shared optimism for the new partnership, as well as admiration of Israel's massive vaccination campaign to date.
I think I can say on behalf of both Chancellor Kurz and myself that we are very inspired of Israel's ability to roll out the vaccines.
And Israel's coordinator of government activities in the territories, or COGAT, which deals with Palestinian civilian affairs, said it will start vaccinating some 120,000 Palestinians who are legally employed in Israel and in West Bank settlements this Sunday, with 12 immunization hubs set up at checkpoints and industrial zones across the West Bank. More response to the ICC's announcement yesterday of their intention to investigate Israel for alleged war crimes. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken shared the administration's stance, saying the United States firmly opposes an international criminal court investigation into the Palestinian situation. He said, "We will continue to uphold our strong commitment to Israel and its security, including by opposing actions that seek to target Israel unfairly." State Department spokesperson Ned Price also said about the investigation, which was called by the Palestinian Authority, that the Palestinians do not qualify as a sovereign state and therefore are not qualified to obtain membership as a state or to participate as a state or to delegate jurisdiction to the ICC, something that Israel has stated repeatedly. The Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations echoed the sentiment, stating that as an interim governing body and not a state, the Palestinian Authority does not have standing before the ICC and therefore cannot bring cases for it to adjudicate. For the ICC to claim otherwise reflects the demonstrated anti-Israel bias of outgoing Chief Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, who is seeking to use the ICC to single out the Jewish state for discriminatory treatment. 137 Olim new immigrants from Brazil and Argentina landed in Israel this week. The JTA reports that the group was supposed to fly out of Sao Paulo over a month ago, but Israel's airport shut down because of the pandemic, and connecting flights were also restricted throughout Europe, leaving the Olim in limbo for weeks, with some staying in airport hotels for that entire time. Ben Gurion partially reopened this week, allowing only 200 arrivals per day, and through efforts of the Jewish Agency and the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, the group was included in that limit, arriving in the country on Monday. JTA cited one of the new Olim, Ricardo Balaciano, saying that the general feeling is that it was all worth it after all. Well, the Washington Wizards basketball team is celebrating a Jewish Heritage Night tonight as they play the Los Angeles Clippers. Israeli singer Kobi Aflalo will perform the Star-Spangled Banner at the start of the event, which also will include video messages from the Israeli embassy, as well as from Israeli former NBA player Omri Caspi and current Israeli player for the Wizards, Deni Avdija, whom the team drafted last year. They also set up an Instagram account in Hebrew. This for Avdija's many fans back home. The team wrote on their website that Washington continues to expand their footprint in Israel. In addition to the NBA's first Israeli Instagram account, the Wizards have a team website in Hebrew, And we're the first to launch an Israeli Twitter account. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, March the 4th. At 7 o'clock, it's Talmud study. At 8, Rabbi Ethan Tucker discusses the change in the perceptions American and Israeli Jews have with Gary Rosenblatt. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with President and CEO of Israel Bonds, Yisrael Maimon, who talks about his experiences in the Golani Brigade, his concerns about Iran, and more. At 10, the 2019 ceremony remembering Ze'ev Jabotinsky. And coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, March the 4th, 2021. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy. Stay well.